Hi guys, this is KlazartSC with another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on Game 2 of the best of 3 matchup between Nada and Backho. Nada is down 1-0, and that makes this a must-win game for him to try and progress through to the next round. Nada starting up at the 5 o'clock position, and Backho at the 11 o'clock position playing Protoss in yellow, Nada playing Turn in blue. Nada caught off guard by that DT drop, and we've seen this happen to him a few times. I think the last few times I've seen Nada play, he has been very vulnerable to this sort of strategy, and I think Backho's probably studied that, and that's why he aggressively denied the scout and got that DT drop in. And unfortunately for Nada, his turret was just maybe 3 or 4 seconds too late, and that was what made the difference in the game. Had he had that turret up, he would have been able to ward off the shuttle. His siege tanks were there, he had the Marines, and it would have been a completely different ball game. And that's the difference in StarCraft. It's not just a little bit of touch. And again, I made a cricket analogy in my previous commentary of this matchup, and I'm going to make another cricket analogy here, because that's what you see when a batsman is in form. Literally, the difference between them hitting a shot correctly and missing a shot is a timing difference of less than a second or even half a second, and that timing difference is the difference between them getting runs and getting out. And I'm sure American viewers can correlate that to baseball, where literally that much of a difference could be the difference between the ball going where you want it to go and ending right up in the hands of the fielder and getting you caught out. And that's what StarCraft is all about. A second of timing makes the difference between victory and defeat. And at this high level of StarCraft, that's all it takes. So Backho once again scouting aggressively, scouting after putting his gateway up, and that's been a consistent thing with him, and I think that shows that he's not too worried about Nada pulling a big surprise on him, because he's willing to get that gateway up and get his build essentially going before he starts to scout, or maybe he just has more confidence in the build. Because he's going, because he's teching, he feels that even if Nada tries something silly, he's got that gateway up and running. He should be able to cope with it once he scouts Nada in decent amount of time. And the cross-map positions, it'll be interesting whether we had cross-map positions again last time on Andromeda. It'll be interesting whether the cross-map positions once again play into Backho's hands. Backho once again putting the Cybernetic score down straight away, so we might be seeing, I think this time he probably will opt to go for Reavers. Nada meanwhile getting his racks up. Backho just about is going to get that scout in time. I don't think Nada hasn't really made any effort to try and block the scout, so Backho should be able to get in and get the scout in on Nada's base. And it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out. Nada has to be more aware of Backho doing something like that, and the question is, having been caught out last time with the DTs, how is it going to play psychologically on Nada? Is he going to be that little bit more defensive, or is he going to be a little bit more aggressive with his scouting or his anticipation? Is he going to play a little bit more defensive? I mean, he did play very aggressively in terms of his expanding last game, really a little overconfident in his ability to defend, and he wasn't able to at the end of the day. Nada's SCV should be getting up to Backho's base, and I think he should be able to get the scout. Nada's got the first Marine out, so he's going to be able to usher that probe away or take it out at the very least. So this is do or die time for Nada. He really needs to perform here if he wants to progress in this competition. The fact that he's made it this far is obviously a big deal. This is a tough competition, and it is a coveted competition. The World Cyber Games qualifier is Nada getting that SCV into Backho's base. Backho doesn't look like he's produced a Zealot at all. Looks like he's going to go for the Dragoon straight up. I think last time we did see him produce a Zealot, and that Zealot actually helped him get a scout in for a little bit longer and harass his opponent, force Nada to pull the SCVs off the line, and maybe that was what caused the delay of a second or two. Clever by Backho, putting the pylon behind the mineral line as Nada was trying to maneuver the SCV around, try and keep it alive. The pylon, the SCV obviously on Nada obviously clicked move, and before Nada could take control of the SCV again, the SCV turned back around because the path was blocked, and it looks like Dragoon range already being upgraded for Backho here, and so that SCV getting taken out by Backho. So neat little trick, something to think about for those of us who don't necessarily play StarCraft this level. Robotics facility going down first this time around. I haven't seen that Citadel of Adon yet. I don't think that he's going to be going for that, so presumably we're not going to be seeing a DT drop again for Backho. I think he's probably going to put a little bit of pressure on with those Reavers early on, with that Dragoon range being upgraded, and then switch possibly to, while he gets his Reavers up. Nada choosing to get the command center again. Nada going straight for the expansion. I think he's starting up his factory, so he's going one fac into command center here, and Backho, and again he might find himself playing a little bit into Backho's hands. There is no Citadel of Adon this time, so we are going to be definitely seeing Reavers from Backho. Looks like he is hiding a pylon down, presumably because even if Nada gets a scan in, because Nada's going to be a little bit more cautious about getting his scout in. Backho coming up with the 2 Dragoons, but Nada's got the siege tank positioned up above the ramp in good position to keep those Dragoons out. Maybe the Dragoon range isn't upgraded yet. Obviously the floating racks providing sight as well. And the Backho has seen that floating racks, and maybe Nada's just put that floating racks in to absorb some damage, absorb some hit. Looks like Backho is now going to put his expansion down. feeling comfortable enough that he's got Nada locked in a little bit. He's got a couple of Dragoons on, he's got Nada locked in, and Nada really isn't in a position, because he's floated that Rax, Nada isn't in a position to make that push with the 1 tank and 5 or 6 Marines that you see often Terrans make that push against the Protoss players. And since Nada hasn't produced any Marines other than the one he produced initially, Backho's fairly comfortable that he can put that expansion down and not be too worried about it. Nada putting that engineering bay down so early this time, really not taking the chances. He is building that command center, and he's brought that SCV down. I'm not sure if that SCV is just there to block. Meanwhile, Nada looks like he's got his siege range upgraded. So Nada's got siege range upgraded, and he's now building a turret already. So Nada's not going to get caught off guard this time around by DTs. The question is obviously with the maneuverability of the Reavers. I think Nada will probably have enough turrets positioned around, and he's got his third siege tank out as well. So Nada should be in a comfortable position to defend from this, and this looks like it is going to be a much longer macro observatory out for Backho. I haven't seen the robotic support bay go down yet. Backho continued to produce Dragoons, putting his natural expert down. So Nada is in a good position to try and come back in this game and try and level the series at 1-all and take this to a best of 3. He's got a decent start. I don't think he's going to get exposed by Backho's drops. I don't think Backho's going to be very effective when he comes in with the Reaver drop, if he decides to go for that. It's a strange thing for him because he put the robotics system down, he put the observatory down, and then he took the Nexus. So he has kind of disabled himself a little, left himself a little bit short. And the robotic support bay is down. We just weren't looking at it. We were looking at Backho's base. The robotic support bay is up, so we should be seeing and he's getting the observer in. But Nada should have the turrets in play for that observer. And the observer has seen the engineering bay. First of all, the shuttle is out, and he's obviously going to have to wait for that Reaver to pop out. And Nada has got his defenses in play, so it's still going to be a question of whether or not Backho can be effective. Nada's much better off, and Nada having seen the observer, that's a key thing. And the observer dies, so Backho a little bit careless with his observer micro, losing that observer unnecessarily. But that gives Nada a heads up, because once the Terran player sees your observer, he knows straight away that you're going to have that you've got that robotics facility up, that you've also put the observatory down, which means it's very unlikely you're going to be coming in with DTs to follow up. You're more than likely going to be coming in with Reavers. So Nada's going to know exactly what's going to be heading his way. He's going to be well prepared for it. Nada immediately starting up a turret behind the mineral line, up above on the cliff, again, to give him a little bit more sight to intercept the shuttle. And Nada should be able to macro up here and get that economy going, put back a little bit of pressure. Othello is a map that's very good for Terran players. We've seen 4GG play quite effectively on it. Now the Reaver's loaded up, so the crucial harass going to be coming in from Backho. And again, I think Nada should be well placed to defend with this. He's had more than enough time to get his army up. His economy is also in a good place. He did get his command center down well before his Protoss opponent did. And usually if a Terran player can do that, that bodes well for them in the future of the game. But looks like Backho decided, while he pressures Nada with that, Nada getting his 3rd and 4th factory down, already has 2 factories. While he pressures Nada with this, looks like Backho's decided to take his off expo, but Nada is no slouch either. He started up his command center to take his off expo as well. Backho coming in, he might be able to delay Nada a little bit with that. Nada's got those turrets well positioned, and he wards the shuttle off. The shuttle sees the turret and is warded off from the cliff. And I'm not 100% sure about the reason behind the positioning of those turrets. Backho coming in yet again, a little distance away from the cliffs as opposed to right on the cliff's edge. I'm not sure what advantage that confers. Perhaps someone more technically minded can enlighten about that in the comments. Backho's Reaver harass is ineffective. Crucially though, he hasn't lost the Reaver, he saved it. He's just trying to find avenues to try and come in. Looks like he's managed to find a place to drop it in, and he's going to fire a Scarab off. That Scarab isn't going to do too much damage. He's